my pleasure to introduce our speaker this morning, Grant Wainscott. Grant's had a long history in economic development. I know that because I get a lot of phone calls asking me, hey Mike, how much water can we give so-and-so company? And can you tell me by 2 o'clock this afternoon? And I'm always, sure, Grant. But I've told Grant, you know, he owes me a favor because not only has he got a great history in economic development, but he's done great with bringing filming locations here to Clayton County. Most of you know Hunger Games did a lot of filming here, the movie The Odd Life of Timothy Green, the movie Flight with Denzel Washington. So Grant's done a great job with the movie industry. But early on he was bringing a lot of these zombie shows, you know, to Clayton County. And kept saying, Grant, can't, you know, my daughters are all in their early 20s, and I guess that's the age group that likes that kind of show because all 3 of them watch it. And I said, Grant, can't you get me a part as a zombie? I mean, what does it take? All you got to do is walk with your hands out, right? But he hadn't helped me out with that yet, so I'm still holding on. But Grant has done a fantastic job for our county and bringing new business into Clayton County, and he's got a lot of positive news to share with us this morning. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Grant Wainscott.
Despite a cold morning, I want to thank everybody, or in spite rather of a cold morning, I want to thank everybody for being here this morning. This is an incredible time in Clayton County's history. We had a fantastic 2013. There's a lot of things we need to be proud of, and my goal this morning is to arm you with that information and then give you a little bit of a glimpse into what 2014 is going to hold. So I want to thank the Chamber for allowing us to partner with them. This is going to actually be an annual event. So each February we're going to be coming to you and talking about all the great things that happened the year before and giving you a little bit of a glimpse into the year ahead. As Mike mentioned, I'm Grant Wainscott. I'm the Director of the Office of Economic Development in the Film, Sports, and Entertainment Office for Clayton County Government, the Board of Commissioners. We have a lot of partners in the room this morning, and I see most of you on a weekly or daily basis, but it's nice to see a lot of new faces this morning. We're here to present our first annual Economic Development Report. This is going to be a yearly occurrence, as I mentioned. We want to share how we did as a county and as an office the previous year. A lot of things that are happening in the community that don't always make the news, and we find the more and more we're out into the community, the less people really know or understand or are armed with the right information about what's going on. So we're going to charge you this morning with a couple of things. The first thing is, and by you being here, you're already exhibiting those traits, but we need you to be a champion for this community. We need you to be out talking to your friends, your colleagues, your neighbors, and letting them know about all the great things that are happening in the county. So this is really an opportunity to help arm you as business and community leaders with positive information about new jobs, new investment in the community, and to openly discuss our opportunities and our challenges, which we do have and will continue to have, and to encourage your involvement with upcoming projects and development. So when you leave here this morning, I want you to feel like you're informed, but I want you to feel as encouraged and as excited as we are, because this is a great time to be in this community. And it's not that this is the first year we've had good news to report. We've had lots of good years. But in this new spirit of partnership, we want to make sure that you're receiving that information in a timely fashion and in a fashion that you can rely on and expect each year. And it's not that we haven't had outreach efforts aimed at disseminating critical information about our local economy and jobs outlook. But it's that new spirit of inclusion, really, that we want you to leave with this morning again, of openness, of just plain excitement about how much is actually taking place in our community. And we do have a lot to talk about this morning. We have a limited amount of time, so I'm going to rush through some of this. But before we get into that, I want to thank two very special people who are responsible for what you have on the table this morning. If you did not pick one up, we have a copy of our annual report in the back. I'm going to introduce the rest of my staff in a second, but I especially want to thank Tamara Patridge, if you'll please stand up, who probably hasn't slept in the past 3 weeks while Bill and I were out in Dallas trying to drum up more business. And Regina Yawn, who is in our Central Services Department. Tamara and Regina spent the better part of a month helping us compile the data and putting together this publication. It's designed as an online publication. It will have links on our website. We have printed forms for you today. We'll be doing those in a heavier glossy stock for our use as we travel the world trying to promote Clayton County. But we wanted you to have a copy today, but we certainly encourage you to pass on our online version, and we'll provide that link a little bit later. And I'd be remiss if I didn't introduce my bosses and the elected officials at the county who help us do our job every single day. Chairman Turner, who's the chairman of the Board of Commissioners. These are folks you've already met, of course. Commissioner Sona Singleton and Commissioner Michael Edmondson. And so I want to thank you. This is the first time we've had 3 of our commissioners at an economic development breakfast, and we're grateful that you take the time to be with us this morning. So again, thank you for all that you allow us to do. And I also have the rest of our economic development team with us. I mentioned Bill Keir a second ago. I'm not sure where he ended up sitting, but oh, there he is. Bill Keir is our new Deputy Director of Economic Development, who joined us from the city of Roswell up on that north side of town. We taught him where the real future in business is, and we convinced him to become a South Sider. And Makisha Calloway, who's our office manager, and Glenetta Griffin, who handles public relations, marketing, and CCTV 23. So we've got a great team of 5 full-time folks now. We're fully staffed. We're thrilled to be fully staffed, and we're expanding. And I want to also recognize a few special guests this morning. Having a staff of 5 and being one of the smaller economic development offices for a region this large, we rely greatly on our partners. Georgia Power, the state, the Metro Chamber, the Clayton County Chamber. And we have a gentleman with us this morning who is one of our principal project managers with the state, Lindsay Martin. And Lindsay is responsible for recruiting and attracting new projects to the state of Georgia and then helping figure out where those can go and then working with our existing industries. And so Lindsay is really by de facto our 6th staff member and spends probably more time down here than he should be allowed, because he has so much work here, and he has been a part of just about every great announcement that we've made over the past several years. And Lindsay, if I'm not incorrect in saying, just hold on for 2014, because you're going to see a lot of Lindsay. So thank you again for all that you do for the state, and particularly for the Southern Crescent. So that brings us to what you see up on the screen now. I'm assuming we don't need to explain that that is the control tower at the world's busiest airport. It was a neat cover photo, and it really is almost a shining beacon of hope. And I think that exemplifies where we are in Clayton County's history. Craig Miller, who those of you who are familiar with the film industry, he's president of the Georgia Production Partnership, and he coined the phrase, "They understand the business of making movies." And when he said that, he was talking about Clayton County, and that has become our catchphrase. But that set the tone for how we approach the rest of the industry clusters and the rest of the work that we're engaged in. So we want our clients and members of the community to feel confident that we understand Clayton County business. We understand the challenges, the pressures that you face, the economic issues that we're facing nationally, and how we can help affect that change for your business here locally. It's important that we know your business, we understand the industries that you're in, and that's why when we talk this morning, we're going to talk about core industry, targeted industry clusters that we're making it our business to understand. We don't claim to know everything about every industry, nor can we. But we've targeted those industries that are really the heartbeat of Clayton County, and that's critical that we're engaged, that we're working and understanding the economic pressures and how the county can realize some of the assistance that your business may or may not need. So this is the $44 million tower. It's now the largest tower, tallest tower in North America. This is in Clayton County, and this helped employ almost 200 new folks in our community. So we're going to talk a lot about the airport. We're going to talk a lot about some of our other great partners, but we really like this photo. So let's talk about our strengths as a community. Our airport access is undeniably one of the primary things that really drives the investment that's taking place on I-75. Let me get to, well, there we go. This is heavy in graphics, so it'll take a second to load. So well, you know what, I'm going to back up first. Some of this is well, all of this actually is in your report, so I don't want to go over every little piece, but I'm going to start here real quickly with the welcome, the director's welcome. This really sets the tone for what's happened last year and where we're going with 2014. We talk a little bit about some of the new industry announcements. Briggs Equipment was a huge announcement for us this year. Of course, the expansion of H.H. Gregg. And so we've got a photo of the ribbon cutting at Briggs Equipment in the unincorporated part of Atlanta in Clayton County, just south of the airport. And then, while it's maybe kind of hard to see, those of you that were here on the campus several months ago, this is the governor in the lower right-hand corner with a lot of our state delegation breaking ground on one of the fantastic new buildings at the school, at the university, the new science building, which we have been desperately needing for more than a decade. It's one of the things that's been holding back student growth here at Clayton State, and with this new building, we now have the capability of growing that population, which every single new student that's here is new dollars, is new interest, is new importance into Clayton County. So it's in our best interest to see this university grow as quickly and responsibly as it can, and that we're all a part of that. So we've had great photo ops, we've had new job announcements, but we've seen some things that really are telling. And I want to share with you this morning 3 factors that we look at in economic development that really kind of underscore that we feel really coming out of this recession ahead. So one thing the media loves to report on, and people like to focus on, frankly, is unemployment. Where have we been in unemployment? So way back, I say way back in the 90s, we saw ourselves with one of the lowest unemployment rates we'd had in Clayton County in, frankly, decades. And we were skirting right around 5%, which was great. National average was about 3.94, range up to almost 6% during seasonal shifts. So we hit a low at a time when the country was feeling good about the economy. Well, our market, just like the rest of the world, are interrelated. And so when you have national issues, housing crises, the economic meltdown that we saw in the latter part of our last decade, you can expect for us to follow those trends. And so we hit a spike in unemployment of over 13%, which is disastrous. I mean, that is a tremendously high unemployment rate. Lots of factors for that. But that was right at the end of 2012, end of 2011, beginning of 2012. And again, there's a number of reasons that happened, but the important thing is that you see a continued decline when you hit a peak like that. And so when we look at some of the factors outside of the housing market and the general economic terms, 2011 saw the final troop leaving from Fort Gillem that was closed during the BRAC round. It was slated for closure in 2005, but it wasn't until 2011 that transition actually took place. So while at that point we didn't have but probably 400 or 500 remaining employees at the base who were not staying, that did still signal a significant drop in employees. We've also had a slide in our retail sales employee numbers as we've seen some of our major retails shift out of this marketplace. While we never want to see any jobs lost, I would argue that the future of any strong economy is not solely retail. And it's important, as retail-centric and as service-centric as our jobs are in Clayton County, I would argue that it's important that we make that transition into more stable, full-time living wage-paying positions. And so when we can backfill, if you can backfill, and when we are backfilling those positions with full-time jobs in transportation, manufacturing, logistics, aviation, and help bring the average educational level and attainment and job skill level of your most vulnerable citizens, that will help you drive your unemployment rate down and help you drive your quality of living up. And it's that disposable income that's so important to all of us. We need people that can spend money in our community, whether that's buying cars at Vigil Ford or whether that's being able to pay their bills at Southern Regional Medical Center. It's extremely important that we focus on our average wage. So since that peak at the end of 2011, we've seen a pretty significant slide, and we are now, as of this past December, at 8.7. So we've seen an almost 4.6% drop in a matter of 2.5 to 3 years. That's really significant. And we're going to continue, we feel, to see that slide occurring, particularly here in 2014. So we're really encouraged by our unemployment numbers as they're progressing down. The other thing that we really look at is vacancy rates. Vacancy rates in our real estate market. So that could be retail, that could be office, industrial. And so our retail vacancy hit a spike, and this is not unsimilar to, or dissimilar to what we saw with our unemployment rates. In 2009, we were just above 11% in our retail vacancy rates. We spiked in the late fall, early summer of 2012 at almost 17%. You really want to keep that 10 to 12% range is the mark of a decent retail economy. And in the past 16 months, we have dropped from 17% to below 15%. We're now at 14.8%, and we're looking to settle somewhere in the mid-13s by summertime. That's really important. Those are factors that major retailers look when they're making a decision to locate in an area. So we want to make sure that we're paying attention to those. And our industrial and flex space is another thing that we really try to pay attention to. Again, we saw a lower volume in the late 2009s, early 2010s, about the same as our retail, hovering right around 11%. We spiked in this past January at 14.9, and just in the past 9 months, we have dropped 2 full percentage points, thanks in part to 3 large announcements that happened, and we feel several announcements that are going to happen here this year. So our expectation is to see that drop and settle somewhere around in the 10 to 11%. And again, in a metro market, airport submarket like we are, that's extremely important. So we're very bullish about this. I'm very optimistic that we're going to see continued drop. And so I want you to take that as one of your leave behinds today, that the real estate market, and we can spend an entire hour talking about the residential real estate market, but the residential real estate market pins off of things like this too. So we need to make sure that we have the right businesses in our community employing people so that they can buy houses and rent apartments and pay their bills. So our strengths is something that I think people really think they might know, and we know we have the airport in our backyard. But I really want you to understand, when we market globally and we talk to CEOs and we talk to company leaders and community leaders all around the world, there's 4 main things that we can say that we can do better than anybody else. We are home to the world's busiest airport, undisputable, at least for the next several years. And we'll see how that potential 6th runway may affect that growth. We are home to one of the world's finest, and I do mean that, finest water and sewer infrastructures anywhere. It's extremely important that you know that we have quality, quantity, and consistency. And you can thank Mike Thomas, who introduced me, and the great leaders and the commissioners and elected officials who came long before us for putting that kind of investment into infrastructure. There's nothing I love better than heading out to California or Arizona in the middle of summer when they're having the worst droughts they've had in years, forest fires everywhere, and here come the folks from Clayton County saying, you know, I understand your water rates just doubled this past year. We happen to have, you know, close to 4.5 million gallons of excess capacity, and their jaws just dropped. You got to be kidding me. Nobody has that. So, not that we're trying to cherry pick. Well, yes, we are. We'll say that. You know, there's nobody from California here, is there? We are unabashedly trying to steal everything we possibly can from the rest of the country. Not our neighbors in Metro Atlanta, of course. But that's great. You need those kind of calling cards. You've got to be able to have the things that really distinguish you. We have one of the finest hospital and healthcare systems in all of Metro Atlanta. And we're going to talk a little bit more about what SRMC and our hospital means to us this morning. But having access to health care is critical. I can't tell you how many times we're in a competitive situation in economic development, and one of those first questions is, what's your access to health care? What's your cost of health care? How far do our employees have to drive? What kind of options do I have as an employer? Because we all know the cost of health care isn't decreasing, and it's never going to decrease. It's only going to increase. And having access to that can be a deciding factor for some companies, and that's extremely important. And lastly, it's our location and our accessibility. It's not just the airport. It's the fact that we have 19 interstate exits on 4 interstates. I don't know any other community in Georgia, let alone in the Southeast, that has that kind of accessibility. Certainly not 280,000 residents. We have the airport, but we also have direct connections to the Port of Savannah, and everybody's talking about, at least they have been for the past 2 years, the deepening of the ports, and what's that going to mean for us? Well, let me tell you what that's going to mean for us. It's going to mean more trucks on the road, it's going to mean more rail cars on the rail, and it's going to mean more warehouse space not only filling up, but being built, being marketed, and more taxes being paid. So you might wonder, what does a Panamax ship halfway across the world have to do with Clayton County? We, and perhaps Savannah, would be the only other community that would benefit more than Clayton County. I would argue that we will benefit as much as anybody in this state for the increased capacity at our ports. And so it's extremely important when the conversation turns to the mayor and the governor agreeing on something and putting money into the ports, that your house in Jonesboro or in Morrow or in Sandy Springs for that matter, that value depends on that type of investment. And so it's been great to see not only our local leaders, but our national leaders be able to drive that kind of investment. So we're really looking forward to that increased capacity, because it's not just warehouse jobs that brings. It's trucking jobs. It's the mechanical jobs that service the trucks. A good truck mechanic can make $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a year. That's a highly skilled job. Those folks spend money. They need gas. They need transportation. They need homes. Those warehouses have to be serviced by landscaping companies, pest control. I mean, the reciprocal economic effect is incredible. Now, it's important that we're not a one-horse pony, a one-horse town either. That's really critical. That's what got us back in the 80s and 90s when we lost Eastern Airlines and Delta wasn't as large as they were now, and then the closure of the Ford plant. So you're going to see a lot of diversification in the market, and that's important. We want to make sure that we have health in each of these clusters, because if any one cluster goes awry, you've got to be able to fall back on the jobs and the investment in the other clusters. So interstates really they're just arteries. You know, it's like a body in your circulatory system. These interstates feed travelers, they feed commerce, they feed goods and services, and they feed you from your home to your place of work to where you want to shop, to where you go to church. And it's important that we maintain those exits. It's important that we maintain the viability of our road network, and that we grow that. And this upcoming SPLOST later this year has a number of local and regional road projects, and we're certainly not here to lobby for any SPLOST. I would just encourage you to become extremely informed as to the numerous potential benefits of continuing such a noble program as our SPLOST. I'll let Jim address that later. And I really want to say, one of the great things about Clayton County is you still have that small town feel. You still have the ability to walk through downtown Jonesboro, to walk through Riverdale, to walk through Forest Parks. You still can see neighbors, but you are in the shadow of the world's busiest airport, and you are looking at downtown Atlanta. If you wanted to live in Midtown, you would. But you choose Clayton County to run your business and to live for a reason. And it's that closeness to the major metro market, but still having a far greater commute than our unfortunate friends on the north side. Poor Bill spent an hour and a half this morning trying to get here, and like I said, we're going to be rectifying that as he moves to the south side. But that's a quality of life issue. The less time we spend in our cars, the better it is for the environment, and the better it is for our personal health. And that's really a critical point, and one of the things that we talk about when we market our area. And so let's talk about what's actually happened this past year. We have a real eye towards public engagement, as the top right-hand box on this part of the report says. This past year, we finished our economic development comprehensive study. That was critical. For the first time in the better part of a decade, the cities, the county, religious, political, business, community leaders, we all got together and we said, okay, we're not going to agree on everything, but let's pick a few things that we do agree on. And if nothing else, getting everybody to the table and talking and coming up with a plan was monumental for us. Now that plan's being activated and is progressing, which they should. But the sheer act of getting everybody together was extremely, extremely important. And so we wrapped that up in 2013 with the leadership of the Chamber and the County's Development Authority, and we've been progressing ever since. That helped us shape our existing industry clusters, which we're going to talk about. But these are some of the photos from some of the public events that we've done. We speak a lot at homeowners association meetings, chamber breakfasts, some of our civic clubs, and we try to get the word out. We've reached more than 1,000 local folks, but nationally and internationally as we market, we've reached more than 10,000 in the trade shows and the conventions that we've gone to. And so it's really important that you know you have a team, and that's just our office. You have great folks like Lindsay and our cities and the Chamber that are also reaching out. There's a lot of people that are splintering out all over the country and all over the world trying to tell the story of Clayton County and trying to drum up new business. Economic development is not a one-office business. We have a tremendous number of partners here, and we are so grateful for everybody from the hospital to the mall to our friends at Costco. We've got a great team that's here promoting this community. And so we have reignited and re-envisioned those industry clusters that are important to this economy and that are driving business, frankly. And we divide them into 5 primary industry clusters and 3 initiatives. Our first industry cluster, as you can well imagine, is aerospace and aviation. People might ask, well, okay, we have the world's busiest airport, but what does that really mean? I mean, we don't have Boeing here. Well, actually, we have quite a number of aviation and aerospace companies in Clayton County. Of course, they're here because of the airport. But we have job growth in things like Delta Tech Ops and Airport Service International Group, who are adding jobs every single day. You don't see major job announcements from them. They may be 5, 10, 20 at a time, but over a year's period they can add up to 50 or 100 or 200. And that's important. You've got to have jobs coming in from every sector. The new $1.2 billion Maynard H. Jackson International Terminal opened up this past year. Before the terminal opened up, who flew through the airport internationally? Just raise your hands. All right. Anybody enjoy that experience? All due respect to the airport. Did anybody enjoy that experience? It was chaos, absolute chaos. The airport has grown so quickly it's hard to keep up with that. This new terminal, much like the 5th runway, was dubbed the most important terminal in America. And it is the most important economic development thing to happen to Clayton County. And I would say probably 5 decades. What happened is we have transferred the balance of, I won't say power, the balance of attention from the west side of the airport, which was opening to that county that begins with F, to the east side, we won't say the F word, to the east side, to the real side of the airport where we've borne the brunt of the noise and the growth issues, and open it to I-75. The new front door to the world's busiest airport is on I-75. It is opening to Clayton County, and that has unleashed a lion. It is incredible the amount of attention that's been driven, and we're going to have an announcement here in a few minutes from a company that is here because of that type of growth and saw the benefit of being in a community. And so things like the relocation of Porsche's North American headquarters to the south side of town, the collective just gasp from all of Georgia saying, they're going where? Where is that? The south side of the town. Why would they possibly leave Sandy Springs and close New York and LA and other parts of the country to centralize in one area? Well, because they finally figured out what we've known for decades, and we've been trying to tell people. You can only grow so much on the north side, you can only bear so much cost, you can only take so much traffic time, and you have incredible sites with accessibility, with incentives, and an unbelievably ready workforce. And they were the first global giant to really understand that. But that has dramatically changed the future, and we're going to talk about Mountain View here in a second. The second is biolife sciences and healthcare services. We have a tremendous healthcare network in Clayton County, and we are one of the biolife science communities in partnership with the state. The trail essentially starts in Clayton County and continues up in an arc, the Innovation Crescent, up to Athens. And in that arc are the largest concentration of biolife sciences and healthcare companies in Georgia. And in Clayton County, I mentioned the importance of our hospital. I don't know if you know that they delivered 3,332 babies last year. That's a lot of babies for a community our size. This is an organization that has its fingers in the pulse of Clayton County. They're also the largest employer in this sector with 1,850 employees. They have a total annual payroll of $88 million. That is an insane payroll. And when you break this down to the type of jobs that are there, the healthcare positions, they're some of the highest paying in our community. We have other companies like Santa Fe Aventis who are growing in Forest Park, medical manufacturer, storing, we won't tell you where they are because it's a secure facility, but they are storing a tremendous amount of valuable vaccines that are distributed all over the world. There's also a really cool partnership with Southern Regional and the CDC that our hospital, Southern Regional, is the primary point in case of global pandemic issues that are coming through Hartsfield-Jackson, and that is a real threat. That is something that most countries around the world and emerging markets have dealt with, and is something that we've got to be ready for. Another industry is chemical manufacturing. You see Clorox, you probably see Sherwin-Williams, you see these big major manufacturers in Clayton County, but you don't really know necessarily what's going on behind the doors. And if you get a chance to be involved in our existing industry council and you can take a tour of some of these plants, they're fascinating. Is there anybody from Sara Lee here? All right, that's the only one I would urge you to not go see how biscuits are made, because I can't eat a biscuit now, but they are unbelievably tasty. But when you can see how the sausage is made, in essence, it really hits home the types of jobs that are in our community. When you can go to Toto, the North American headquarters for one of the largest Japanese ceramic companies anywhere, when you can go to their headquarters, you can see engineers from all over the world designing toilets, and you know that those Toto toilets, you know, we pride ourselves when we go to restrooms all over the world, say, oh, there's a Toto toilet, and that one's probably made in Clayton County. But it's really cool to see your goods and services all throughout the world. Food and beverage manufacturing and distribution. This is something that is absolutely fascinating. Is there anybody that hasn't been to the farmers market, Atlanta State Farmers Market? All right, either you're ashamed to put your hand up, or we're batting 1,000. This is an entity you really need to support. I don't know if you know it, but in the report we pulled out a couple of things, and Tamara found this really cool old postcard of the farmers market from back in the late 60s, early 70s. It's 150 acres, and it employs more than 3,700 people. 3,700 people work on that market. Estimated payroll is $75 million. Now, let's look at the difference. I just talked about the hospital. They have 1,850 employees with $88 million in payroll. 3,700 employees with an estimated payroll of $75 million. You can do the numbers, the types of jobs that the hospital has and the wages versus our food and beverage manufacturing and distribution sector. But it's important to have a broad pay scale to make sure that everybody in your community has a job. A lot of these jobs in the food and beverage manufacturing and distribution industry are low to moderate wage rates for the entry-level positions, but they quickly accelerate when you get into a leadership position, even on the line, even on the floor. And so this serves a great segment of our population. We've seen some pretty significant expansion this past year from Sara Lee Raw Corp and other food processors. We added $20 million in new investment, which is helping Terry and Jim and their team. It's our goal to add $100 million in new value to the county this year. Last year we added close to $65 million in new value in projects, and with Lindsay's help and other partners, I think we're going to be able to reach that goal. And then on the bottom here we have supply chain and transportation. We've mentioned this throughout the report. This is kind of the bread and butter of Clayton County. Has been for a while, but it will continue to grow. This is our largest sector. 6 of the county's 10 largest companies are in this sector. We have global supply chain giants like Shippers Warehouse, and Bill and I were just in Dallas this week meeting with some of our major employers. Shippers Warehouse is located in just outside of Dallas. They've got 500,000 square feet in Jonesboro, tucked away back by, is it Dean's Barbecue? Is that close to them? You wouldn't know what's going on back there, but they are shipping. If you receive chocolates or flowers for Valentine's Day, they probably went through Shippers Warehouse. That's a tremendous clearinghouse for different types of food. It's a bonded warehouse. They added 25 new jobs very quietly over the past 12 months, and at their peak they can ramp up to over 400 employees in that building. So when you see a big building, it's not just warehousing and racking and some boxes sitting there. There's real people making living wages there. And then we talked earlier about Briggs International, and I thought this was kind of a cool quote. When Briggs made their announcement late last year, and we were with the chairman and Yolanda and members of the community, their international presence, a global company, said, what's great about this facility is the highway access. Most of our employees don't work in the building, they work out in the field. So to be able to come here to get parts and get things and deliver the equipment that come in and out of the building, it's a very central location for them. You can get to 285. I mean, you can get all around town from here. That's a quote that we're using all over the place. This is a big advantage. You know, this is a global materials handling company that was just north in that other county who decided that if they were going to grow anywhere, that the real estate market was right, their investment timeline was right, and that they were going to grow where their market was, and that's around the airport. You see a lot of this industry start with a sales office, and so that's why we go out and we travel internationally and we try to reach out to major global companies. The way you get a foothold in the States is you start with a sales office, you start with a marketing office, and it might be 2 or 3 or 4 people. They come to the States, they set up, they start selling their product, they arrange the logistics partnerships, and before you know it, in 2 or 3 or 4 years, they're working on a full-blown manufacturing or distribution facility. That is a market that we can compete in every single day, and that's how we got companies like Toto. That's how we got companies like Raw Corp. You have to start somewhere, and so we're really adamant about trying to market ourselves globally. I'm going to run through the rest of these real quickly because we're about out of time. These are our industry initiatives. So we have our 5 core industry clusters, and then we have our initiatives. Retail and hospitality, small business development, and film, sports, and entertainment. So I'm going to highlight a few things real quickly. Retail and hospitality. If you've heard me speak, this is a broken record. Shop local, shop local, shop local. If you aren't spending your retail dollars in Clayton County, you are part of the problem in the retail decline. Now I know the stores don't have everything we want, but I'll guarantee you they have a lot of what you want. If you're not getting that $4 cup of coffee, you can't complain we don't have a Starbucks. If you're not shopping at Macy's, you can't complain they don't have the products you want there. If somebody doesn't have the product that you want, go see the manager and tell them what you want. Don't just walk out the store. If there's a dirty bathroom or product on the floor, you tell the manager, tell somebody, help that retailer service your community better. I cannot underscore how important it is to shop local and to work with our chambers of commerce and making sure that every penny that you can spend in our Costco, at the Macy's, at Home Depot is spent here. Having said that, what we're going to see in 2014 is going to be a bit of a retail renaissance. I have to admit, the past 5 years, it's been one of the things that's really kept us up at night. We've had a lot of retail loss. We all know the major announcements. But you're going to see that turning this year. The end of last year, we had several great retailers and food service companies open up on the 1941 corridor in Riverdale, on the Highway 54 and Mount Zion corridor in Morrow, and you're going to see some really, really big announcements we expect here in the next 3 to 4 months. People are paying attention to retail in Clayton County again. And that's important. That's important for SPLOST and LOST. That's important for our tax base. And it's important to make sure that you have the places that you want to shop when you come here. Small business development, we've got a great partnership with the SBDC. Bill Keir, our new deputy director, handles this cluster, and so for the Small Business Development Committee, Mitch and the folks at the Chamber who are working on those small business development initiatives, Bill's our contact. Bill's who we want you to work with. I'm going to give you his home number and his address so you can find him 24 hours a day. But we want you to know that small business is the lifeblood of our community. And just because we talk about the big wins and the big companies doesn't mean that the day-to-day business of small business is not extremely important to Clayton County, because it is. So many of you in this room represent the small business community. And then of course, film, sports, and entertainment. A lot of the news circulates around film activity. We get a lot of questions, what's the big deal about having Denzel Washington in your community? Well, if you met him, you might think it's a pretty big deal. I don't think Tamara washed her hand for about, oh, that's okay, right? For about 6 months after that. I finally got her some soap and she finally washed her hands. And Mike, I swear I'm really going to try to get you on. I think Mike would make a good walker, don't you? This is such a fun, cool part of our day job. And it's certainly not all that we do, and it's not the primary thing that we do, but it is one of the activities that we do that gets a lot of attention, frankly. This is a $4 billion a year, that's billion with a B, a $4 billion industry for the state. We're now the third in the nation behind California and New York for film, television, and entertainment economic impact. That is incredible. Clayton State is taking the lead, your university, where we sit today, in this building particularly. And Janet and her team are taking the lead in providing film training through the IATSE certification program to make sure that Georgians are getting these film jobs and that we can stop importing labor from Louisiana, from California, from New York. Now, one of the great benefits, though, is a lot of young people left. Put this down, Warren, hold on, I'll start going all through it. A lot of our young people left right out of school. They went to New York, they went to LA, they went to where the jobs were. I mean, who doesn't have a child that dreams of getting out from home and going someplace else? The jobs are now back here, and we are seeing a tremendous number of people who left coming back to Georgia. Tamara and I go to LA fairly frequently, and I'll tell you, outside of television, when you walk through the studios in California, man, you can hear crickets. It's incredible. And California knows it, and they're scared to death. They're finally waking up. But Georgia took the lead on the tax credits. Georgia took the lead on building partnerships with places like Clayton State University. And they took the lead on building partnerships with communities like ours. The county owns a 60,000 square foot soundstage right across the street from here, Metro Atlanta Soundstages. We were home to filming of Scary Movie 5, working on other productions, and so we're bringing that. And then, of course, you've got Pinewood just to the south of us in Fayette County. New studios popping up all over the region, and every one of those pieces of infrastructure investment is critical. That's taxes, it's jobs, and it's retail spending. And I want to highlight, we talked about Costco a second ago, and Dennis, I hope you don't mind me talking about your business for a second, but I want to tell you the kind of impact that the film industry is having. So here you have a great asset like Costco that changes its business model from the standard Costco to a business Costco, and it's one of only a handful, one of only 9 in the country. They have dedicated people at this Costco who do nothing but work with the film and entertainment industry. Do nothing but work with the film and entertainment industry. That retail spend, so a film comes into Georgia and they may spend $100 million, right? 70% of that has to stay in Georgia. They can do 30% outside, but 70% has to be dedicated spend inside Georgia. Of that 70%, at least half is goods and services. Not top line talent, but goods and services. Unless you've got Lindsay Lohan and Charlie Sheen, and then that costs you a little bit extra, but and the insurance to make sure they show up on set sober. But the retail spend occurs in your local community. So imagine a $100 million company coming and employing 800 people. And they spend $30 million on lumber and food and steaks, catering, windows, you name it. They're building an entire movie. And then in 12 months, they knock it down. And then the next month, somebody else says, you know what, I'm going to build another $100 million building in your community and employ all these people. And it happens every single year. And if you have 2 or 3 or 4 of those, The retail spend is immense, and I mean immense. And it's not just the Costco's of the world. It's Home Depot, it's Food Lion, it's Kroger. We have companies all over this county who have benefited significantly from the retail sales. And our own hospital, Jim will tell you, Southern Regional is our most frequently filmed location in the entire Southern Crescent. This is huge for us. Southern Regional actually gets to have their name. Sometimes the films even choose to leave the name in the movie itself. So was it What to Expect When You're Expecting that left? So if you've seen What to Expect When You're Expecting with J-Lo and I don't know who else was in it. Yeah, Cameron Diaz. That I didn't wash my hand after. And yeah, I didn't mean J-Lo, but I did shake. Probably need to watch that one too. But she's even prettier in person, by the way. What's the value of that kind of community marketing when you can sit in a movie theater in LA or in New York or in Morrow and see your hospital's name on the side of a building in a movie? That's pretty cool, and it's that kind of impact that we're having all over the area. So one thing I want to point out here, one of Lindsay's great colleagues, Lee Thomas, who's the director of the Georgia Film, Music, and Digital Entertainment Office. So she is the film guru for Georgia and responsible for bringing a lot of this attention to the state, said the Camera Ready Community Program has provided tremendous assistance for us to attract and support film projects, and Clayton County's Economic Development Office, our film office, has proven to be a shining example of how well the program works. Clayton County is quick to respond to inquiries and stays working with us until the project's landed. We greatly appreciate their support. You've got to have those kind of strategic partnerships because these are the folks that have the pipeline of projects. So when they know you're going to return a call, you'll take a call at 1 o'clock in the morning if that's what it takes. You'll meet them and open a building when it's 20 degrees on a Sunday morning, because the film industry can't wait. They don't care if you're tired. They don't care if it's raining outside. They're going to be in your community for a couple of hours, and if you don't want them, tough. There's 50 other places. It's the most competitive environment you can possibly imagine. But despite all of that, we landed some of the biggest scenes for the largest movie franchise ever to come to Georgia, and that was Catching Fire, the second version of Hunger Games. And right now, 3 and 4 are filming in Georgia, and this is an incredible opportunity to really highlight Georgia and to highlight Clayton County. We've also been very busy working on our sports product. The university, the school system, our great partners, Lori's here with Hope Foundation, who also works with Foundation Sports, Tsunami Sports. We've got some incredible public and private sports facilities in Clayton County. The tennis center at the beach, and need I say, NCAA Division II athletics here at Clayton State University. If you've not been to a soccer or tennis or basketball game, I'm telling you, you're missing some incredible and exciting stuff. And we're looking forward to helping the university grow its athletic programs. But we've got Sam Crenshaw on our sports council, and Sam's been a fantastic partner thanks to the relationship that Tamara had with Sam. Brought him in. Sam loves the product that's here in Clayton County. One of the things he's most passionate about is tennis, and the HBCU tennis tournament that Commissioner Singleton helped bring here many years, well, not many years ago, 3 years ago. This will be the third year. Is a real gem and has a great ability to highlight our community to the HBCU schools and to the media. So it's not just bringing in college kids to our community, but it's bringing in spectators, and it's bringing in that national media coverage that comes with something like this. The Sports Council was created with the sole purpose of promoting sports investment and attracting visitors to Clayton County. We're going after tournaments, we're going after new facilities, and we're going after partnerships that are going to bring dollars. And then last thing I'm going to talk about real quickly, and then we'll close, is tourism product development. Later this year, we're going to be unveiling the Film Clayton Experience, which is a film welcome center right next to our studio, right across the street from here. So when you leave here and you look across the street at the Metro Atlanta Sound Stages, to the right next to Pizza Hut, we're building out a 2,500 square foot film welcome center that's going to welcome visitors from all over the world who are going to come and learn about the economic impact of the film industry, see props from films that have shot here, and then we'll board buses to go on various tours throughout the Southern Crescent. So we're really excited about that. So here's our contact information. 2 websites I want to leave you with, and then the third we're going to launch later this year. InvestClayton.com and FilmClayton.com. Both active right now. SportsClayton.com will be active later this year through our Sports Council. But you can see that kind of co-branding that we're trying to brand our image. So here's our information. We want you to reach out. We want to be in touch with you. We want you to understand who your team is, how to get a hold of us, and know that thanks to the BOC, you have a resource team that understands your business and wants to help. And with that, I am going to ask a special gentleman who's here with us this morning. We promised you we would have an industry announcement, and it is my absolute pleasure to introduce a gentleman who has only been on the ground for, gosh,
3 weeks.
Yeah, 3 weeks now, but it's a project that we have been working on for the better part of 6 months. And again, with the state's help and the Metro Chamber's help and the partners in this room, we were able to work with a parent company called DUPS later last year. In November, I believe it was, the commissioners passed a group of incentives for H.H. Gregg, which made a lot of national news. We were being very quiet about the other group of incentives that went along with that for this new company, RSS. And we wanted to make sure that the company had everything settled, that the land was purchased, and that we were ready for the announcement. So I'm going to call up Keith Little with Recycled Shingle Solutions to help us announce a new industry to Clayton County that's bringing more than $7 million in new investment and almost 20 new jobs. So Keith, if you'll come to the podium, please. Thanks.
I would like to thank Grant and the Chamber of Commerce for having us this morning. This has been a great meeting, and I'm learning a lot. I can't tell you how thrilled we are to be here in Clayton County. It is a wonderful, wonderful place to be. My CEO, Bill Gear, and our President, Frank Dupps Jr., has dedicated a world leader of manufacturing and processing systems. They provide an engineering and maintenance repair. So I'm kind of nervous. I knew it is. I put in plants. I don't talk. I make money. I don't get up here and talk.
You're doing great.
After a national search and kind of going across the area, I-75, I-85, I am so nervous I can't hardly do this.
You're fine. You're doing great.
But I-75 and I-85 and the international airport really brought us to this community. It is a great growing community. I've been to the farmers market. I've seen all the industrial sites, been lost a lot. So
easy to do. Easy to do.
I'm learning my way around this frigid South.
It'll warm up.
What we're doing, we're putting in a $7 million facility in Clayton County, and we recycle used shingles. Shingles that would normally go in the ground, we're going to take and make a viable product out of them, a product that will go back on top of the ground. It will be sold to the fracking industry, spray-on bed liner industry, back into the asphalt industry. So it's, it's a going green company. We are a going green company. DUPS is dedicated. We have been testing this product for the last 3 years. We have, procured the raw materials, and that was one of the main reasons, procurement of raw materials here in the local area. So we procured the raw materials, we procured the sales, so now it's on me to build a plant, staff it, and make it profitable. So that's, like I say, that's what I'm here. I'm not here to talk to you guys because I'm so damn nervous I don't know what. This is just not me. And I'm gonna kill my boss because he's laughing at me.
He's sleeping in.
Yeah, he really thought this was funny. And I thought I was gonna be okay until I got up here and looked over all you guys. Oh my God, don't cuss. I apologize for my nervousness. I will get better at this, I think. If not, I'll pass out. You guys get me to this local hospital.
One more. There you go, Jim. We're already driving business for you.
After meeting with Grant and the local development committee and the chamber, Larry Vincent, the Developmental Authority of Clayton County, we embrace the concept of coming here. I mean, they have helped us tremendously with the the Economic Development's Office, Tax Assessor's Board, everyone that we came into contact was just extremely helpful and just, you know, helped us in every way. Grant has, you know, I've been in contact with him. He has just been a great asset for helping me. And I guess to summarize it all, you know, our company, you know, our mission statement is to improve the environment, environmental quality, the community, partnership area, business, to work with leaders of the neighborhood, work together to create a clean and safe workplace. And that's what we're going to do. And, you know, we hope to work with all of y'all and be involved with the chamber and just be a part of the community.
Our newest member?
I can. We do, that's RSS, we do get involved with the community. We will be part of the Chamber of Commerce and a lot of the other community awareness. And
Well, that sounds great. We look forward to it.
so we're very happy to be here. And again, I apologize for my speech
Keith,
and my
you did great.
nervousness.
You
but
did fantastic. You did great.
Thank
Welcome aboard. All right, thanks so much. Hope you felt the extra 15 minutes worth it. Again, I want you to leave here pumped. I want you to leave here informed, and I want you to stay engaged. And come see us across the street because there's a lot of great things going on, and we need every one of you in this room to be a part of it. So thank you so much for being here this morning, and thanks again to Keith and to the newest member of the Clayton County Business Community, RSS.
Thank you, Grant.